Hitler and Nazi Germany are among the darkest marks on humankind's history. And so, Hitler is often the subject of study. How he came to power, launched a genocidal war, and eventually lost. But what would have happened if he had won? Where would we be now? Not only does this require a look into a hypothetical future, but it would have required that he fix his tactical mistakes during his reign. Join us as we look at what could have been if a few critical details had been changed. We don't even need to start this list to tell you we're glad it shook out the way it did, but it's an eye-opening thought exercise nonetheless. Number 10. Hitler adjusts his attack on the Soviet Union. To win, Hitler would have needed to correct a few key components of his plan. Firstly, waging war on multiple fronts was never a winning strategy. His attack on the Soviet Union that stretched into winter should have been called off, shifting his focus to struggling Britain. The United States would also have to stay silent on the sidelines. Declaring war against them would be a no-go. Number 9. He would invade Nordic countries. Documents have revealed that Hitler had no intention of stopping his war at Europe's continental edge. His next target after Britain's defeat would have been countries he classified as Nordic. This included Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and even the German-speaking portion of Switzerland. Recall that Switzerland maintained neutrality and avoided invasion during war. Number 8. Russia would supply slave labor. German occupation of Poland was one of the first actions of Hitler's war. They expanded into the Soviet Union after invading Poland, so there's no reason to assume he would have stopped there. With as much as 2,500 extra miles of territory at his disposal, he could easily fill the needs of an army. Number 7. Africa would be sympathetic to his cause. Afrikaners in South Africa were no strangers to racism, with their own privileges and rights denied to anyone else. Segregation and even differences in resource allocations were commonplace. So an easy friendship would quickly extend his reach even further. Additionally, consider the numerous colonies that belonged to the French and British, recently defeated. They would have offered little challenge to Hitler in taking control of these critical settlements. Number 6. His allies would get their due. Remember that the Axis powers included Japan and Italy. Mussolini would have been given the right to take lands equivalent to the ancient Roman Empire stretched across southern Europe and northern Africa. If you read between the lines, that means it would take war to get it. What Mussolini might not have known was that Hitler planned to keep France and Great Britain, which both lay in the Roman Empire's original territory. Number 5. Jewish people might have been wiped off the earth. It's uncomfortable to even think about, but the reality is that the Holocaust would have been even worse and would have reached even further corners of Europe, exacting its toll. It likely would have extended to other races and skin colors, anyone that didn't fit Hitler's definition of the Aryan race. Some nationalities would fare better. Hitler saw the British, Scandinavians, and Germans as cousins. They generally fit the bill of blue eyes, blonde hair, light skin, and are on the taller side. Number 4. Nazism spills into the United States. Another uncomfortable thought, but the United States isn't exactly a stranger to racist beliefs. Slavery, the slaughter of indigenous peoples, and Japanese internment camps are all black eyes on America's history. Nazi beliefs did have a hold on some Americans and surfaced in the form of Jim Crow laws. Number 3. Free speech and elections become a thing of the past. It's safe to assume that Nazi propaganda, censorship, and sophisticated advertising would have spread across all his collected territories. His Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda would have worked tirelessly to craft stories and shape a more favorable public opinion of Hitler. Nazi propaganda spread insidious hatred among Germans and helped fuel non-existent fires needed to enable the persecution of Jews. Considering the total conquest that Hitler was interested in, the ability to control the narrative would have been critical. Number 2. Medical experimentation would be rampant. This isn't much of a stretch when considering the absolute disregard for human life Hitler had toward the Jews. It's easy to justify medical experimentation in the name of science and advancement. Japan joined in, regularly conducting experiments on their enemies. 3 methods were most commonly employed: combat experiments, genetic testing, and pharmaceutical trials. Jews were used to test biological agents and were forced to endure extraneous surgeries without anesthesia. Japan typically targeted the Chinese and Russian captives for their experimentation and research. Number 1. Germany might have nuclear superiority. Nuclear war is one of our modern-day nightmares. Thankfully, one of the impediments that the Germans dealt themselves was dismissing Jewish scientists. This was swiftly followed by a draft of many able-bodied Germans who left the scientific team understaffed. Before World War II, Germany had made many discoveries, including polyurethane, the opiate methadone, and introduced nerve agents to the battlefield. It's horrifying to think what they might have done if they had been the first to discover nuclear weapons, especially considering Hitler's grand plan of total domination. If Hitler had won, we have to assume that everyone else, including some of Hitler's allies, would have been struggling. That means setbacks in the form of occupation or drained resources, delaying the United States from their discovery. It's plausible to entertain this reality in the event that Nazi Germany stuck around for a few more decades. That's it for today's list. Which dreary entry on our list was the most surprising? Anyone take German as your elective language in school? Let us know in the comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video entertaining. Until next time!